Greetings, noble natives!
Dogehammer here for a little bit of story time. Today I bring you the tale of one Captain Adonais of the Blood Ravens. He only to my knowledge shows up in a single short story in the 2019 issue of White Dwarf, which I still own. But to understand the story of Adonais, first thing we need is a little bit of context. For those of you who don't know, the Blood Ravens are the starring chapter of the Dawn of War series, RTS from the early 2000s. A lot of shenaniganery went down in those games. They may or may not have accidentally released a demonic entity on Tartarus.
Human, do not destroy the stone! You will doom us all!
It'll probably be fine. Went to Kronos and beat up the Eldar, Wordbearers, Orcs, Tau, Necron, and even the Imperial Guard at the same time on the same planet just to protect some relics.
My cold, dead, gauntlet-dastardly witch!
They lost half their chapter in the Korova campaign.
Korova was a huge mistake.
Held back a Tyranid splinter fleet with like 30 Marines before realizing bug spray is a good trick. They then lost a chunk of their chapter to Chaos because they didn't clue in that their chapter master being spat out of the warp after being lost for hundreds of years and saying, "I'm not corrupt, bro, trust me," is kinda suspicious. The Loyalists did manage to win that civil war and then go on to defeat the Black Legion. Then something happened in Dawn of War 3, I'm sure.
You!
Also, Abaddon had a tantrum at Cadia sometime after this, so now the Great Rift is a thing, cutting the Blood Ravens off from the wider Imperium. So in short, the Blood Ravens went through the ringer and were pretty beat up. But unlike some chapters who do things like tactically retreat to assess their situation,
Oh, take your seatbelt off, you Mary!
the Magpies didn't hold back to recoup their numbers. They went on the attack like a gaggle of German dudes on Special Chocolate. Cut to the strike cruiser, the Glory of Calderis. Captain Adonais is just vibing after knocking some heads on the planet of Gadara.
Being gay!
Show me your dicks.
Suddenly, Adonais gets a hail from an incoming Tyrant-class cruiser designated the Argent. Now, normally, this wouldn't be a concern. Except for, did I forget to mention, turns out the Argent is a f***ing Adeptus Custodes ship. Now, I hear some of you saying, Doge, they're on the same team. Why is it such a big deal? You gotta think about it from the perspective of the demigod kleptomaniacs here for a second. All they're realistically aware of right now is that the galaxy is cut in half by a warp storm for some reason. They have no knowledge of Gilliman waking up. They don't know what a Primaris Marine is, and they ain't never heard of no Indominus Crusade. These boys were still firmly living in 7th edition 40k while the rest of the setting had moved on to 8th. So there's Captain Adonais on the bridge, watching this random Custodes ship appear out of thin air.
Hello, mother.
And I can't lie, I know deep down this man was sweating. As far as Adonais is concerned, the Custodes only ever really leave Terra in the rarest and most dire of circumstances. In other words, somebody must have screwed the pooch big time. So an envoy of about 5 Custodes come aboard the Glory of Calderis, and they see the weary and battered state of the Blood Ravens, and are just like,
Light work, no reaction.
They are not impressed by the Magpie's battle scars and start to do the typical Custodes diplomatic strategy of shut up, do what I say, simply talking to you plebeians has me on the verge of vomiting. And Captain Adonais is just like,
I beg your pardon?
he is not taking this disrespect lightly. The Blood Ravens captain decides to bow up to the Custodes, refusing to get sunned by the Golden Banana Man, and starts going on a rant about how he and the Blood Ravens have been out in the trenches doing the real work, while he and the Custodes have presumably just been faffing about on Terra. Now you'd think the result of a Space Marine chattering back to a Custodes like this would have resulted in something like, but no. The Custodes simply hits Adonais with the old reliable, don't care, didn't ask, touch grass. The Custodes starts to explain that Gilliman has been resurrected, what a Primaris Space Marine is, that they're delivering a buttload of gene seeds so they can make some of their own, the whole shebang. But once again, in typical Custodes fashion, he manages to deliver this information in the most dickish and condescending way possible. Now, the Blood Ravens act pretty much how you'd think they would at such a revelation, pretty much in disbelief over what they were just told. However, Adonais is still just taken completely aback by the audacity of this bitch. He was not ready to get over it. Adonais was close to resorting to the hold me back bro method. However, our boy decides to hit them with one of the coldest threats I have ever read.
The Blood Ravens have stood steadfast with the Imperium for thousands of years. We will not tolerate being spoken to in such a manner. I have 60 warriors to your 5. 5 ships to your 1, and you are on the wrong side of the rift. You never did say how you crossed it.
Adonais pretty much on no uncertain terms told the Custodes that if he doesn't check himself, he's about to disappear. Even the Blood Ravens librarian at this point has to step in and telepathically tell Adonais to chill the hell out and stop antagonizing the Custodes. It's just not the move. Now, I know there are some Custodes fans watching this and thinking, 60 Marines versus 5 Custodes?
I like those odds.
Let's just think about this for a moment. Even if the 5 Custodes managed to slay every single Blood Raven on the glory of Calderis, which they very likely could do, they're still outnumbered 5 ships to 1. It doesn't matter how skilled those 5 warriors are when the torpedoes start flying and they all get spaced. The Custodes tries to put up a front by replying that he doesn't care about Adonais' threat, but come on, bro. I see right through you. You can't lie to me. I know deep down this Custodes knew full well that Adonais had him backed into a corner, and this was emphasized by just how quickly he ends the conversation. They immediately just dump the gene seed and get the hell out of Dodge. And that's pretty much it. The story goes on for another page, basically just outlining the Blood Ravens' thought process on how they're stoked that they have the opportunity to study this gene seed, maybe gain a little bit of insight on who their Primarch might be. But the story wraps itself up here. Now, compared to some of the other characters in this video, the story of Adonais might seem quaint by comparison. Well, dear viewers, considering the regular response to an Astartes getting uppity around a Custodes is this? Anyone who can punk out the Emperor's favorite banana boys is instantly a Giga Chad in my books and is worth talking about. Anyways, that's it for me. Congratulations on reaching funny number, Arthur, and thanks for having me on your channel.
Thank you. F*** you. Bye.